Hey folks, Cool18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program, or Let's Learn. Today, what I'm going to try to do is send yet another satellite to the moon. Between this episode and the last one, I did put out a couple of more satellites for contracts, but this one is different. This one, we are specifically trying to get one in a position to do a surface scan. And get some biome information. Some people have been telling me that my Science Alert mod, which is very handy, does, however, tie into the ScanSat mod. Oh, yeah, something to address. I've removed the FAR mod. A lot of people suggested maybe getting rid of it because it does sort of desync the videos from the vanilla experience in terms of what makes sense aerodynamically and in terms of, suborbital maneuvers, for example. So by getting rid of the FAR mod, now the physics will work the same for everyone who is watching. Additionally, it also makes the ascents a little bit more forgiving. It makes the gravity turns so much easier. Gotten pretty good doing them for the satellite launches, actually. I suspect I'll be a lot less efficient in this one just because talking makes it harder, but there we go. So yes, completed a few more missions, got a few extra bucks. Not much in the way of science. I'm using the cool Kerbal Space Program 1.0 fairing system to put in a little nice aerodynamic nose cone on top of that, which is pretty cool. And we've loaded this up with a lot of solar panels because this multispectral sensor over here uses 1.5 charge per second. And my old satellite kits were using 4 of these photovoltaic panels, but only one of them at any given time would probably be in the sun, and it's 21 charge per minute, so a third of a charge per second, which is 5 times less than we need, and considering usually only one would be lit up, that would be pretty bad. Using these 1x6 photovoltaic panels over here, they actually generate 1.6 charge per second, which actually means I've got way too much. Let me go ahead and remove that layer. I've got a foursome over here that can be deployed later on, so I didn't realize they're so poor. 21 per minute, 1.6 per second. And these will actually turn to face the sun, I believe. Tracking speed, yeah. They'll continuously turn to face the sun as well, and they're less likely to be sort of shadowed by my own device because they'll, stick out in a few different directions. Ideally, we'd like to avoid deploying these maybe until we get to the moon, or at least until we've done our trans-lunar injection, for example, or trans-lunar injection, I suppose would be the right thing. But anyway, here's the rest of the design at this point. It's got, way more delta V than we need because, overkill. It's a good thing. So let's launch with that. Yeah, the missions are done. Yeah, so I'm doing the ScanSat to do biome scans of the moon so that our science alerter, I think, will let us know better. Plus, it's cool! And I want to start getting a sense of that. So let me save all these changes we've got. These stages are good. That'll split off there. We'll get these little boosters. We're not going to get back this middle stage, but that's totally okay. All right. If I'm optimal here, I can get into orbit with I was going to say the first stage, not the first stage, because the first stage is sort of like these little rockets on the side, but the main middle one. After the boosters have gone away, we can technically get in there. If I'm slightly less than efficient, then we'll have to burn a little bit from our trans-lunar injection stage, which is fine, because this is way, way, way too much gas. It's a big waste of money. Who cares? We're going to turn on the SAS. You're going to go to full throttle over here, and we're going to launch. I'm going to get my speed close-ish to about 100 meters a second and then start the gravity turn. Now, it's not going to be a true gravity turn because I do have the SAS turned on. In a true sense, what I would do is sort of just do the turn and then turn off the SAS and let it change on its own. But we're going to be okay. My goal is going to be to try to stay basically right in the middle of the prograde over here, which will continue to tip over on its own just because of gravity and different things like that. So I'm having to manually do it. If I did have a more experienced pilot who had the ability to track a prograde, this would be very sexy. Let me go a little bit down. We're going to try to stay right on the 90-degree mark over here as much as possible. Outside tanks are almost done. They are filling. They've got the fuel transfers to the central core, so they run out a little faster, but it also ensures that our central core is in fine shape. I'm going to go ahead and put it a bit more. Now, one thing I'm still confused about, there's the surface mode. We can also go to orbit mode here, in which case my prograde is something else completely. I think as long as I'm in the thinner atmosphere, it makes sense to not exceed the prograde too much here, because if you do, that's when you get your wonky drag that pulls you off to the side and causes you to flip over. So, I like to stay on the surface mode at this point. At some point, it changes automatically. I think I like to change a little sooner than that. About 30,000 meters, the atmosphere is pretty damn thin. And even now, I can probably do that and then just try to stay within that as well. Gotta be real careful not to do it too soon, because otherwise the drag will kill me. But there we go. That's thin enough now that there's not too much drag. And we can really... Actually, I'm going to throttle back a bit to about 2/3. That's going to be perfectly fine. And then just keep trying to shuffle this over. I'm going to exceed my prograde marker a bit just to actually try to shorten this off, because we're going to hit our goal pretty much where we want it. I think I'm happy with this. Okay. And now there's no reason, actually, I probably could have done it before. I should have kept tipping. There we go, right 90 degrees. So we are going to slow down the burn a bit. Rather, because what I can do is stay at full burn, and then when this hits 75,000, just kill it completely. But I'll kill it a little ahead of time. I don't think it makes much of a difference in terms of efficiency one way or another. We will still have to do the thing where we kill our burn a little early, which means I could have been more aggressive with my gravity turn. But honestly, I'm okay with burning a little bit of extra fuel if it means I don't flip 180 degrees and kill myself. So there's that. I'm going to go a little bit above 75,000 here, just because we still have a little bit of atmospheric drag that'll bring us down. And tell you what, I'll bring the engines to just 1 notch above nil, just to counter any atmospheric drag. Yeah, the apoapsis height will keep going up, but barely so. The stars have come out, which is lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So I got rid of FAR. The other mod change, and I'll try to make sure to keep the description box down below updated, is that I did add the precise node mod that allows you to like have a dialog box to tweak your maneuver nodes. Holy crap, has that ever been amazing, because I'm like terrible at picking the right things. You know what, we're really close to Apo. I actually should have already done this. We're going to click add a maneuver. I'm going to click the button to make sure I'm exactly at apoapsis, and we're going to add some prograde here. I think I just accidentally changed my... Oh, I keep double clicking on Kerbin. We're going to need more than that, more than that, more than that, more than that, more. There we go. Boom. Excellent. I'll explain the interface here in a second. It's a 19-second burn is what they expect. We still have fuel left in the tank. I don't think we have 19 seconds. No, we have 7 seconds left. But still, we may as well use it. Again, I'm pretty sure I can do the full arrival to orbit with just this stage. But this is like, it's not like this is inefficient. This area is so light that we use barely any fuel out of this tank to get anything done. I could go with half this fuel tank easily, and then that lightens the load, which means this stage will definitely get into orbit. All right, let's do the burn. Could have started it a little bit sooner. I'm not exactly on the maneuver node. There we go, break that away. And now we actually... Yeah, I definitely should have started it a bit sooner for maximum efficiency, especially since we have less thrust with this. We have more delta V because we're super light, but there's actually less thrust in this engine, which means we're definitely late on our maneuver. Periapsis height. Just want to make sure that it ends up above 70. And go. Okay, so not around orbit, not the slickest one I could do, but I didn't set this up soon enough. And I should have remembered that I have less thrust to weight on the Terrier engine than on the first stage. Still, it's round-ish. My really successful ones have ended up with like an exact like a 77/78 circular orbit, which is pretty goddamn sexy. Anyway, we're going to set up our Trans-lunar or Trans-moonar injection burn now, which should be, and again, I'm not 100% sure, but it's going to be about at the 45-degree mark, apparently. Maybe a little bit sooner to that. And I'm still looking for ways to gain efficiency. So again, here I can just drag this, but I love this interface. Love it. I'm going to drag it out first to sort of eyeball things. So we're going to be burning prograde over here. And just trying to intersect that orbit. Okay. Oh, the other thing, I think the normal conics mode is mode 3 over here. I quite like mode 1, because if you remember, what I tend to do is I sort of get here, and then what I do is I change my focus to the moon. You could do that, and then it shows you your path that you'll arrive on. But if I hit backspace to go back to my ship, if I just set it to conics mode 0, it'll always show me that over here, which I love. So I don't know still, and I'm hoping people have probably already said it, but now I'm going to explicitly ask it so we can get a little bit more redundancy in the comments and increase the chance that I will see it and notice it and remember it, is what's the most efficient approach here? How do I want this line to look? If my goal is to get into an efficient lunar orbit, I don't know. So what I can do is I can prograde less. Well, obviously there's a minimum here. So this is the least burn I need to reach it. Or I can burn a little bit more here and end up with a path like this. Is that better? I don't know. What does that set my parry? Too low. I think I want 250K for my scanner. I forgot to check the ideal spot. 222. That's pretty close. So, and obviously, I tend to end my burn just a scooch too soon. Because of reasons. But not only that, especially with this mod, what I can do is I can quickly change when I actually do the burn. I can do it a little bit earlier or later, like, but I don't know, like, which one of those is a slingshot thing that's going to require a lot more retro, and which one of these, like, if I start a little earlier here, I end up with a wider orbit. I start off 500,000 kilometers out, or sorry, meters out, so 500 meters out. Which actually might be better here now that I think about it. First of all, I expect we'll need less retro over here to circularize our orbit. Secondly, we are going to want to make an inclination change, and apparently the further out you are, the easier it is to do an inclination change, because I don't want to orbit the moon equatorially. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't exactly want a polar orbit, although actually a polar orbit would also be okay, because we're going to be rotating relative to the moon otherwise, so that would give us full coverage. So basically, we're trying to put a satellite into polar lunar orbit, or polar-ish is going to be good enough, at an orbit of around 250 kilometers. So that is our goal. So I guess this will be the thing to start. We've got a burn in about 10 minutes, which sounds pretty good to me. 253 delta V, which is going to represent, well, we're going to have lots in our tank. Less than a third, slightly less than a third of our tank. And I'm okay with that. So, I mean, we don't need the SAS on, although here it's not using any power. That 0.2 we're using is just for the probe itself. I'm not going to deploy my solar panels yet, not until this trans-lunar injection is done. Let's go ahead and fast forward to about 3 minutes away from our maneuver here. You can see it there. We don't want to trust the burn time, although it's probably going to be relatively precise here. There we go. Yes, you can delete that. We're actually going to fast forward a bit more. Okay, now let me go and turn to face my maneuver before I finish my fast forwarding. It will be prograde, but it will be prograde at over here. So our prograde will move as we go. So maneuver node is helpful for that to point us in the right direction right now. So at 20 seconds, basically, we want to start our burn. And okay, quick adjustment and burn. Okay, we're pretty much on our maneuver node still. Now, I mean, it's possible that I would have wanted to burn, like, actually prograde instead of on the maneuver. There's the moon there. You can always eyeball it. If you go prograde once the moon rises, that will basically set you on the right path. If you don't have maneuver nodes, that's apparently all you need to do, is burn when the moon rises, prograde, and then switch back over here and watch, and then be ready to kill it when it turns purple. Maybe decelerate ahead of time. Let me go and... Whoa, 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 whoa. I forgot to actually kill the burn here before I steer myself. There we go. All right. Oh, and kill it. You know what? I should hold X and Shift. Maybe that's an option instead of Control and Shift, because I tend to overkill things a little bit more. But there we have it. Are we actually showing up? Like, are we showing up on the other side of the moon? I definitely changed the maneuver. I'm doing something very different than what I had initially planned. Doesn't necessarily mean we're screwed, of course. I don't think we are at all. Let me go and burn retro once we get to the moon over here. And boom. Okay. So this is the minimum burn that we need to establish a lunar orbit. We're really far out, which apparently will make it a lot easier to do an inclination change. So that sounds pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and deploy our sonar panels. Oh, I should have assigned an action group to these guys so that I could just hit one button and extend them all at the same time. Now, I cannot retract these. I don't believe these are kinds that can be retracted. The white packs can be. And I think they're also shielded during re-entry in that form. So I check here. Yeah. Blocked by Kerbin. That's okay. We got lots of power for now. We may have wanted more batteries. I do know that, yeah, this thing sucks up a ton of power. So every time we're going to be eclipsed by the sun around the moon, we will not be able to do the scan. However, it's important to remember that the dark side of the moon is not literally dark all the time. It's the side that faces away from Kerbin, but it does get solar exposure. So there might be time when we run out of power and therefore can't do our scan, and so there'll be a blind spot on the moon. But if we just wait for, like, the month to progress, right? Because as the month goes by, the moon will be on the other side of the Earth, of Kerbin over here, in which case the side that was dark before will no longer be dark, and we can eventually get a full scan. Now, I don't know if it's the sort of thing we can just leave running or time accelerate or what. Luckily, when you are in space, you can do a physics warp. If you hold Alt and then hit your dot, so now we're doing a physics warp. It's limited to ×4, but it means everything is running the way you would expect it, so we could still do that. Plus, I can walk away and let it run. Anywho, we have our next maneuver planned. It's a little over a day away, so obviously we are going to go ahead and warp to it. Now, this is going to warp us through the sphere of influence change. I'd read some notes at some point that doing a time warp through a sphere of influence change might be kind of dangerous and not necessarily a good idea to do. But I think that was with an older version of the game. Oh, and also we weren't able to go super fast yet because we're still quite close to Kerbin there, so there was a maximum time warp, but now we can do that. Maximum time warp has changed once more, maybe through the sphere of influence change. I think that's exactly what happened there. It dropped us to 50 right before we did it. 1 hour away, 40 minutes away. I guess we can... Nope. It's going to be a short burn. 200 delta V. We don't have the most powerful engine, but we have a very, very, very light ship, so we get our delta V changes pretty dramatically, pretty quickly. All right. And our alarm clock will automatically bring us down to time 1 when we hit the 3-minute mark. Thank you very much. I can probably configure that to be different. It depends, though. Sometimes you are going to need the full 3 minutes. In this case, we don't. I'll bring it down to a minute and then just try to maneuver myself around to face the right way, which should be a retrograde burn. Like so. Again, I could start now, but it wouldn't be as efficient. And, whoa. Alright, let's do this. Basically going to stop as soon as our blue line forms an actual orbit. And, okay. So overkill the maneuver a little bit, but that's okay. Hardly any difference in fuel. Okay, so now my goal will be to actually go into sort of a polar orbit over here. So we want to do it basically when we cross. We don't really have an ascending and descending node right now. I think we're like basically equatorial. So I don't think it actually matters where I do my inclination change. Although if it is more efficient to do it further out, then I guess the apoapsis would be the way to do it. That being said, if I do just add a maneuver with this precise node, I can still set and ask for something like, show me my descending node. Okay, we'll do the ascending node because it'll come up first. Right? Yeah, because I'm actually orbiting clockwise instead of counterclockwise. I'm orbiting sort of in reverse of what I would normally do, which is weird, and yeah. Anyway, sorry, which one is this one? This is my ascending node. So I want to burn, like, anti-normal. Well, I guess it doesn't actually matter here, does it? If I'm already ascending, let's ascend some more. By burning anti-normal? Coming along here. Ascending is when you're crossing the plane going up. So why? I don't know. And we'll do that. The problem is, it does, like, I still don't quite understand why I've got to combine both of these. Maybe it's just a factor of this mod here. But even when we weren't using this, we really did have to, like, use multiple keys. It's because we have to combine a couple of different vectors here. There. That is mostly polar, which I think is going to be good and fine. Now, if I was really good, I could probably, in the same maneuver, bring my altitude down to about 250 kilometers, which is our ultimate goal. But I think that would be crazy. Our new apoapsis will be here. Well, ultimately, we have to retro from both. I don't know if it matters which one we start at. I think doing a retro from apo is more optimal. And doing a pro from peri is more optimal, if that's your ultimate goal. So I guess, tell you what, I'm going to do this maneuver first so I don't F it up. And then we'll come back, do another loop around, and yeah, that'll be fine. Power should be good and plenty. It'll be interesting to see what happens when I actually activate my scanner to make sure that our power stays halfway decent. Alright, we are nearly there. Let me point towards my maneuver direction. And this one will definitely be weird. I have no idea if I'm doing this efficiently. A lot of people gave some advice, and I'm trying to put it into use, but I have no idea if I'm actually executing it properly. And whoa. Okay. Pretty accurate there. I could start burning a little sooner with less power, which might be a good idea. Let me throttle up to like 2/3. And nearly there. Cut. Alright, just as we lose our maneuver node over there. That is pretty close to what I'm looking for. So our apoapsis is coming up, so let's add a maneuver here. So we might not cover the poles with our scans, but that's okay. Depends on our field of view, we might actually be okay. So exactly at my apoapsis, right? Which I love being able to set it that. Because clicking on those fuckers is very hard, and there's no reason it should be that difficult. Power is still good, so now we want to retrograde here and bring our periapsis down to, yeah, about 500 kilometers. No, 250. Silly me. Pretty sure our max height on our scanner is 500, but the optimal one is 250. So we'll do that. That is going to be a very, very, very short burn. Very, very short retrograde burn. And our retrograde will end up right around there. Okay, well, let's, here, I'll do it by hand. Fast forward over here. Because I don't need to use the alarm when I'm literally paying attention. It's mostly when I'm away that it becomes important. So what I'll do is I'll start with like 10 seconds left. And I'll just try to burn real slow. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, well, so it's not going to be optimal, but we'll still be able to do it. So we'll just watch our periapsis height here. And when it gets close to 250, I'm going to start doing the taps. All right, so it's not the most efficient place to burn. It'll still shrink that. We're so far out that it's still pretty damn fine. We're still facing retro. Oh, I overkilled. As I was looking down here, I lost track of the count. Tell you what, let me go and do a quick little prograde. Just a tiny bit. You go away. Hold control. All right. There we go. We're just a few meters off of exactly 250 kilometers at that end. So we're going to want to warp to the periapsis. And do a retrograde burn over there. I suppose we could deploy our little scanner and make sure that everything is groovy. But I'm pretty confident that this is the right height. Oh, I forgot that that warp button brings me to exactly the periapsis. Ah. Instead of the 3-minute warning. Oh, well. So we want to bring our apo down to about circular. And I'm just watching here. Hopefully I'm still facing retro, and I am. Deviated a little bit. Let's try that again. Very slow burn. Just watching this drop to about 250. And there we go. Okay, we actually lost a little bit of periapsis because of reasons. Still, okay, very circular orbit at 250. Now let's hope that I did this right. Now, even though I don't think facing matters, it looks, when this thing is deployed, it looks like it has a lens on it. There we go. It looks like it has a lens on it, so to me it makes sense that it should be facing towards the moon, which I guess would be facing directly towards this blue thing. There, it's a lot easier if I'm just steering via the nav ball, because then my personal rotation doesn't matter. I still get the directions the way I want. Solar panels will keep facing the sun, which, there we go. Energy flow a little bit less because we've got, of course, some shadow from our own ship. But let's go ahead and start the scan, and then watch our power. If it starts to drop, we have to turn it off. No, we are good. So we may run out of power when we go behind the moon, but that's going to be okay. Analyze data just lets me send science home, but we don't really have any of that yet. So let's bring up the small map. And so, okay, if I go to actual time warp, does that work? I'm getting some blinking, so there's some inefficiencies here. What's going on? I think that's what that means. ScanSat at altitude ideal. There we go. bring up the big map. Is this of moon? It is. There's me. Oh, now it's time to rename myself. Good. Let's turn this off. Where's my probe core? Right here. We are going to rename you Moon Biome Scanner 1. Boop. Okay. So again, if we open this up and bring up the big map, there we go. That's where we are. Okay, let me go to physics warp for now. So ×4 physics warp. So everything should get simulated fine. I mean, everything is gray. Well, the moon's pretty gray. Are we going to get some information? Oh, we are. Okay. If I mouse over me, the multi goes, and here it's gray. Oh, it actually shows, I guess, the information. Here, multi-midlands. It's not really showing up. Maybe I've got something missing. Oh, map type. Biomap type. Refresh the view. Yes. Okay, there we go. Ooh, what is this? Also highlands, but... Oh, these are midlands. Midlands, highlands, a little more. Midlands crater. We're going to get information now. So that was on physics warp. Let's see what happens. If I go like time warp times 50, are we still going to get information? Slow it down. The answer is no. So I'm going to just set physics warp. Wait, it's not updating at all. I got power. It's deployed. Refresh. Oh, it doesn't update in real time. I guess that's fair. Okay, so here's what we'll do then. Let's time warp times 50 until we're somewhere completely different, and then do a refresh. Okay, we'll pop in somewhere over here. And yet we actually should, over a course of orbits, get multiple different scans. Okay, refresh map. Oh, we did get that info. So for realism at this point, I could just leave. And I wonder if I'm not actually controlling this satellite, would I still get all the information I want? Right, if I go back to Kerbin at this point, and, you know, build some other spaceships and fly planes, will I get all this information at that point? Probably. I guess it depends on how carefully it keeps track and does it run the systems when you're not actually controlling it. For the sake of argument, let's go to like crazy warp speeds. There you go, times 1,000. And you can see the orbits. Update. All right, so we keep doing a slice. And the next pass will be over here. Ooh, anomalies get marked right. Anomalies. Words I cannot say. So anomalies get marked right away. We'll probably want to check those out. This is very exciting. Guys, we're sciencing super hard right now. If I refresh right now, does that work? It does work. And the mouse over was still giving me live information at the same time. The only thing that doesn't happen is it doesn't refresh the view. And maybe there's even an option for auto viewing. Or auto refresh. Toggle resources, toggle the legend. Where's the legend? It's not showing up. Oh. Something with the sweeps is changing. Maybe because of the speed that we're at. That's okay. Oh, this is super exciting. Are you excited, you guys? I'm excited, you guys. Oh, we are actually eclipsed by by Kerbal right there. So actually, that's funny. We actually I'll have some blank spots. We'll have to do another pass later on. But this is still going to be enough information to plan some of our lunar flights. We'll pick a location. We should be getting slope information too. If I go and slow this right down to normal speed. Slow down. All right. We're now at normal speed. I can say slope. Oh. Maybe the scanner doesn't do slope, doesn't do height information. Oh, that's too bad. So I can't tell if something's like flat or bumpy or whatnot. Altimetry? Do I get any of that? No. So this scanner type only gives me biome information. I guess that's fair. You could run with different scanners. Maybe some scanners do like all the things, but at lower levels, the solution might be to just run multiple different scanners. What is this thing? Southwest Crater. That's the name of it. I guess we'll have to name them ourselves. Highland with an anomaly. So I don't know what the anomalies are. The Kerbal Space Center, does it count as an anomaly? Is that like what it is? Just other places you can EVA and take reports from? Oh, so a bit of a gap in some of these places, which is a little bit annoying. And I think these spots here are where we run out of power because of eclipses, which is kind of funny. But eventually all this would get covered up. There's no reason we can't let this scanner run forever, basically. So now that I've got that, I'm curious. Analyze data. Do I get science out of it? I do. I do get the science now that the scans are actually proceeding. So if I let it do even more of a scan, I can probably get more science, because this is not maxed out. It looks like the cap might be about 40 for this. Now, if I send this and then finish out the scan later, will I get more? I don't know. I suppose I can just fast forward a bunch more. Do many loops. Vroom, vroom. Wow. You can go to 100,000 times speed? I did not realize that. Oh, also, I realized we're not always facing down. So my idea to like face down because it makes the most sense. Actually, yeah, that's true. Wow, we are really high up. Look at the back of this. So what would make probably more sense, since facing is not a thing with this, because of course as we orbit, unless I did an SAS lock to whatever the down thing is, but instead if I just face the sun, get maximum efficiency out of my solar panels. It doesn't matter. We have like all the solar stuff we'll ever want. I don't even need the SAS on, but we may as well do that. But if we do this, seems like it would be the smartest thing, right? Okay, let's take a look at the map again. We did run it for a little while. I guess the small map might render a lot faster now that I think about it. We've definitely filled in some of the gaps. I think this is going to be fine to send. It looks like there might still be an area at both poles we don't quite cover, but this might be a side effect of the current projection that we're looking at. It's possible that the poles don't actually go quite that far. We're actually getting like pole biome over here. Okay, so this is pole, this is highlands. Polar lowlands, interesting. Midlands crater, which is all the same. Midlands itself. East Farside crater, Highlands crater. So there's a lot of different biomes. Okay, a couple little gaps, but basically we have it all. So let's send this in for as much science as we can get, and hopefully we can use this information for planning our moon trip, where we're going to land. That's assuming that I can land with any sort of degree of accuracy, which I'm mostly just going to go for a landing. There you go, 40 science. Huh, never knew the moon had biomes. Wonder which one the cheese is in, if there are any other snacks there as well. So we will transmit that data. We have an antenna. We have unlimited power. You know what? Let's stop scanning, because we're actually maybe going to run out of juice here for our transmission. We've got all the data we need to scan. This is a big upload. There's a lot of data in that. We're actually going to run out of power as is. It'll pause the transfer. And then every time we get just a little bit more power, it'll send in another dose of information. It'll get there eventually. And I think we can leave the scan off. The SAS off, the scan off. We'll obviously leave the satellite in orbit. We can always get some more scans or whatever if we need to. We can always blow up the satellites after the fact as well. That's one of the things we can do to get rid of some of the noise from mission control, which we're going to go right now. Okay, done. 0.3 science added? There must have been other science that went by and we just didn't see the numbers. Let's go to Space Center. So, for these satellite missions, since I don't actually need to keep 1 billion satellites in orbit, I can go and detonate them at this point, right? Like, we probably want to keep... Oh, some of these all still have the old name. Did I not rename these? Oh, I did. Moonsat 1, Moonsat 2, Moonsat 3, which is almost the same as... Yeah, I got another mission for a polar moonsat, and I didn't rename it. I may as well just blow this one up. Because there's a biome scanner right over here. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to terminate some of these missions so we get a little bit less noise. Destroy the vessel, killing all crew in it. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Oh, the other thing I did is I destroyed the empty pod that Valentina was in. Because I was like, how is there still a Minmus mission orbiting the Earth? And I clicked on it. I was like, right, it's just an empty tin can. So I'm going to blow that one up as well. There we go. Cool. Mission elapsed timer. Excellent. So I'm very happy with that. I think that will be very useful. Will help us science harder later. Not to mention gives us a little bit of science right now. What I might do between episodes here is launch one of these bad boys around Kerbin. I'll probably use the exact same design, which is so much overkill on fuel. But just place it around Kerbin and do a full scan of the planet as well, because, I don't know, sounds like fun. So I'll probably do that behind the scenes. Thank you very much for watching another episode, and I'll see you guys next time.